Well, welcome everyone to the State FFA Convention 2016 Planning Professional Development webinar. Anita and I are happy to be with you today to kind of talk through what the convention is looking like this year, to highlight, of course, those things that are new and different from last year, but then also to give a general overview of the many facets of the convention. And so with that, please do not hesitate to butt in and ask some questions. We really need to know what your questions are, not only because it helps everyone else on this call, but this will be archived and available to others later. And it might be something that we need to consider as we put in the final plans for convention based on the questions that you might be asking today. So with that, I think we'll jump in. Kind of the outline that we were going to go through today was to talk about some registration specific things in addition to what's available on the website in terms of planning. Then we're also going to talk about some of the industry tours, which is one of the new things that we're offering this year. We're going to talk about some of the other new aspects of convention and highlight some differences in terms of other specific events. And then we'll jump into some of the middle school aspects of the convention, talk about career development events, leadership skill events, and then finally land on sessions, and then whatever else pops up in between as you guys have questions as well. So additionally, if you have to jump off the call, feel free to just do that. You don't have to announce it or whatever. If you have some place to go or something else that you need to do, that's perfectly fine as well. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and specifically this particular web page right here. So hopefully you've all been on the State FFA Convention planning page. We decided to do a little bit of a rearrange of things this year with these sliders that go down to kind of segment out information. And so just as an overview before we talk specifically about registration, I wanted to highlight this first tab with schedules, maps, shuttle, and parking information. You can see here that we've listed all the schedules that we know we'll be posting and approximate dates, and so we can talk about the specifics here. But one of the useful aspects is this graphic convention schedule when you're trying to do your big picture planning. And so when you click on that link, it'll open up this document, which some of you might recognize as well. And so we'll be referring to this today as we go through. Additionally, we have convention maps, and there are about 4 different maps as part of this document, and so we'll probably be referring to that. And so I've already pulled it up and have it available as this document as well. And then shuttle and parking information you can read at your leisure, but just do know that there are free shuttles that will be running on Wednesday and Thursday from, we said the front of Pinnacle Bank Arena, but really it's just east of there in front of the post office. And so I should edit this now that we've confirmed that. And then they'll be stopping on East Campus at 2 different locations that are identified on the map as well. Same locations as last year, downtown at the Haymarket and out at Pinnacle Bank, or excuse me, out at East Campus. And then there's parking information as well about what's free and paid parking. So any questions on like this general information here or any other requests of things that would be nice to know as it relates to these categories?
Will there be a golf cart? Because I got a lot of places to go this year.
Yeah, I can. We do not have a golf cart, sorry. However, I will say
Did I get a permit like the state fair?
Yeah, I know. I don't know what they do if we showed up with a golf cart down there, but if there are people that you know that do need to have like a handicap accessible place down at Pinnacle Bank Arena and East Campus, and you let us know that, we'll work with you to help identify the best places to park. So
I might have some for like maybe possibly there like on Friday. So
parents or someone or grandparents, yeah. Okay. If you know of anyone that needs special accommodations, please don't hesitate to ask, and we'll do what we can to help. So anything else related to these things? Agri-Science Fair was put up yesterday, and so if you have anyone in that event has more than doubled just in 3 years, I think, and so it's pretty remarkable once we saw that list. So in any case, all of this will be coming after the Activate Leverage conference when all of this is selected. I'm going to jump back up here to the go to convention and CDE registration, which will take us to another page. It looks similar, but is different. This is all the information that you will want to consider when registering students for the convention. And we'll talk about this here in a moment, but I do want to say that I strongly recommend you, your students, even if parents or others want to get text alerts or email alerts, if you don't want to get text messages, you can sign up here simply by texting this number or emailing this address. And then every time we send a notice out about finalists for a career development event or leadership skill event or agri-science fair and other convention-related things will come right to your phone, which is really nice. The other things are informational. So actually, let me click on this so we can see all of them at once. We have information about permission forms. I'll jump to that in a second. If you haven't ordered t-shirts and hoodies, our alumni council sells these, and a pretty good design this year, so definitely take a look at those. And actually, I'm going to jump to permission forms first. So this year is a little different. The University of Nebraska for the last 3 years has had this new policy related to youth safety on campus. And there's a lot of paperwork that we have to do with all the people that help with the convention on East Campus, that they're signing off and all this type. There's not background checks, but the sex offender list checks and all these things that we're doing. And so what we're asking is that you're just familiar that the university has this policy, and if you want to read it into it, there's information here. We don't have anything for you to sign related to this youth safety policy at the UNL. We're also, for the first time this year, putting on the convention information, just a reminder that this is a public event, and as such, pictures are going to be taken of students. And so, and we'll use those, and our partners, so some of our sponsors, including the university, might be taking pictures and using those, like the videos they've been doing the last few years at the last session of convention that kind of covers the convention. This is just a notice officially saying, hey, you're at a public event and you might be on camera, and we might use that in some of our promotional materials. The other thing that's different this year is that in addition to the medical release form, in addition to the personal conduct agreement, which has been in use for a couple decades at least now for FFA events, we're also asking that you have students sign, our parents and students sign this campus recreation guardian form, particularly if you plan on coming to the Thursday night event, which I highly recommend you do. I think it's going to be a blast, and students are going to love it. But all three of these forms, for your convenience, are listed right here. So again, the medical release form, here's the personal conduct agreement. Parents and students both sign that. And this is the campus recreation form. And so as you're putting together your packet of information to send home to students to have them sign and write checks if they're going to pay for things and other things, please include these forms in your packet for those students. When you come to convention, we're not going to collect these. When you come to collect convention, we ask that you keep them in whatever binder or whatever you want, and keep them handy for yourself in a nearby vehicle or whatever, so that if you need to use them, you have them. Even at Thursday night, we're not going to collect this waiver form. What we're going to do is when you pick up the t-shirts that are the students have to wear to that Thursday night event, you'll pick those up on Wednesday or Thursday, that you'll sign off saying, I recognize that I can only allow students to attend that I have collected forms for and am responsible for having those forms and making them available if necessary, something of that nature. And that way, you are the person who must produce this if there were a need for a kid to go to the hospital or whatever else. So,
Matt, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it, Kurt.
Is this for the kids that are going to participate in those activities, or anybody that's just going to be there to spectate?
If they're going to be there, they need to have this.
Okay.
And so if they're – and they might choose to. They might get there and think, I'm not going to do anything, and then they choose to do it. And so
sure.
if they have a T-shirt on, that's our indication that they should be there, and that you've designated them as having the proper forms filled out and with you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Any other questions on permission forms? Okay. So again, T-shirts you can order through the registration system. You want to know what that Thursday night event is? All the events are here. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Oops, jumping around here. You can see there that there's some things that are like quiz bowl and table tennis and some low activity things, but there's some really high activity things like the rock climbing. They have 50 different lines, so 50 different kids can be climbing at once. So it's not going to be, there might be lines, yes, because we might have 2,000 or 3,000 students there, but there is going to be plenty for them to do. I'm particularly excited about bubble soccer. So, and that's what that is right there. But in any case, there's free parking that's available there, and you can come and go anytime between 7 and 10 on Thursday. And again, that's at the city campus rec. And it's $2, which gets you in the door, and they get a free T-shirt. I think they're going to have water available or something there. It's not a meal, there's no food, but plenty of activity to do. So, and when you think about the timing of this, I'm going to pull up the this document. You can see that Thursday, that fourth session is 4:30 to 6:30, and this thing starts a half hour later. We recognize that not everyone's going to rush in there at 7, and that's fine. Probably I need to go let them get their clothes changed. Might grab something really quick to eat and come, and that's just fine. Okay, where was I? This page. Okay, so the other thing that UNL has going on are departmental experiences and tours like last year. These are all happening on Wednesday between 11 and 2 is the last start time. And so you can see here what information's there. We'll talk a little bit later about industry tours. But while we're talking about registration, we're already starting to get requests from teachers about wanting to change time slots. And so please, please, please refer to this set of procedures to see if you're available to swap with someone. Because really what it comes down to is if you want to switch a time in LSC or CDE, we're asking that you find someone to swap with instead of us getting in the middle of all these things. And if you can imagine, if we have 10 teachers asking for that, it's going to get pretty convoluted pretty quickly. And then once you do find someone to swap with, you just notify if it's a CDE, our student coordinators, if it's an LS, Anita. So the nice thing is we created a page for CDEs. For instance, if you don't know who qualified from a different district, you can click here and it will take you to a list of everyone who qualified in these different districts, so you can see the section that you might be able to swap with. So that makes it a lot easier than what it used to be. Okay, I'm going to jump back up to registration, and let's see here. Oops. Ignore this for a second because I need to log in as a teacher. This is the back end of things that you don't have access to. All right, so I'm going to impersonate Kurt. So if we screw anything up, it's on Kurt's account.
Well, I have nothing in there anyway, so it doesn't matter.
All right, so we'll get them registered today. Most of you are familiar with this system. Just for those of you who are not, you have to add all your students in the My Students list. And don't delete the students who aren't coming to convention. That's fine. They can just remain in here. You just want to list any students that you're bringing to convention. If there's others, that's no problem. Use the Add Student button to do that. Once you are in, you can come to the Step 2 event registration slider, and you can see Activate and Leverage is here. In terms of state convention, we wanted just to talk real briefly about some of the fees involved with coming to convention. So Anita, I'm going to turn it over to you and talk about the convention registration.
Sounds great. Thanks, Matt. As you can see on your screen, or if you've been in the system, you're probably familiar with some of the categories and numbers. The high school membership is maintained this year at $10 per student. And that had a question today, like if I'm only bringing a student to Wednesday night session, do I still pay the $10 registration? The answer is yes. Anybody that's coming to the convention as a high school member will pay that $10 registration, whether they're coming for a segment of 1 day or 2 days or all 3 days. Middle school students then could come any one of those 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, but their registration is $3, knowing that they will probably be there a majority of the time on Friday of the convention for the middle school events that are happening. Some middle school students may be there on Wednesday for the agri-science fair, and that's fine. No matter how much they attend, their registration is $3. The part that's the last 3 things that are there are the new parts to the convention registration in terms of financial component. Advisors and any adult, chaperone, parent, or guest that you're bringing with you to the convention this year, there is a $5 registration fee for those people at the convention. Want to share with you a little bit about the background of that so that you understand. With the move of the convention to the facilities that we're using, we saw, of course, an increase in cost last year, and we're seeing another increase in cost from last year to this year, and we know that that will be a part probably of what we'll continue to see. In addition to that, moving down to Pinnacle Bank Arena, we were shared, was shared with us a couple of months ago that Pinnacle Bank Arena has to instate new security rules because of Homeland Security rules. And so because of that, we mentioned last year that people may or may not experience their bags being checked and their coats being checked and whatnot. And we've been told pretty firmly by Pinnacle Bank Arena that that will happen this year. And as that people enter the doors to the convention, they will need to have their bags gone through, and they will need to open their coats to ensure that they're not bringing something in that they shouldn't be. So we have shared with Pinnacle Bank Arena that we'll identify our convention attendees with a button or a badge to help make that process smoother, and so that they know that if someone has a button that they're with our event, and that they should be okay, but they're with our event. And to know then too that people who aren't wearing that identification probably aren't with our event, or they haven't been in through registration yet. And so as we look at purchasing those buttons and badges, again, we face another fee that we're encountering. And so for security reasons and to help make sure that we don't have to increase the student members or the student registration fee, we have this $5 fee for any adult that is attending. And we appreciate you helping to communicate that message, and we appreciate you understanding why we have to have that fee, which is new. On site, we will be accepting payment for registration, but you'll see that on-site registration for adults is $10 instead of $5. And so if you can kind of do a straw poll with your parents of your chapter members or community members or people who intend to attend, get them registered ahead of time if you can, so that you can provide them with their buttons and badges and they don't need to pay the extra $5 on site. That all then leads into the 5th option there on this screen in terms of this option to provide shipping and registration materials to you all ahead of the convention. So convention registration closes on March 21st. And once that happens, we'll kind of know what everybody needs for registration. And we're going to work to ship registration materials out for those people who've selected this option by March 24th or 25th. And as you think about distributing those buttons and badges to the adults, knowing they may not come until Friday and you might be working with students on Friday when they get there, if you choose to ship these items to yourself ahead of time, you'll be able to pass out any registration materials that you want to prior to arriving at the convention. So those shipped packages will include, as it says there, the badges or buttons, event tickets if you registered for things like Leadership Academy or tours or Proficiency Banquet. I mean, it will also include parking passes. Things that those registration packages do not include shipped ahead of time are clothing items like from alumni or the Rock the Rec event that UNL is hosting. And so those items you will still need to stop by and collect along with your placemats or cups from the foundation in terms of banquet supplies. Okay, so any big bulky things will not be shipped, but those things that we can pass out ahead of time easily will be shipped by the 24th or 25th if you select that option. Questions about registration or those things that you see on the screen now?
If they end up registering at convention, can we bill that to our chapter, or do we have to pay it at that time?
That's a good question, Kylie. My caution with that would be if we have parents coming in or supporters coming in and saying, I'm with the Fillmore Central FFA chapter, but Kurt's not planning to pay that bill for them.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have a check, to check or balance to be able to, we don't want to be calling you all the time to say, should this person really be coming, should their bill be coming back to our chapter? So at this point, I'm going to say no, they need to pay for their registration on site to make sure that we aren't billing chapters for things that they're not expecting and to make sure that we are getting paid for what we need to be paid for.
Okay, and is credit card an option?
It is. We're still working out the details of that, but right now we've got, you'll see on the registration site there, we'll accept credit cards or check only. For no cash there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And just as just to reemphasize another point on option number 5, the ship registration materials, that's not required at all. It's just if that makes your world easier, we're happy to ship it out to you. If you want to pick it up on site, as you always have, Roxy's happy to see you, I guarantee you. So.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to walk through absolutely everything here. I'm just going to touch on some highlights. But if you plan on parking out on East Campus, please make sure that you purchase a parking permit. If you're just dropping students off and picking students up but not parking, you do not need to order a parking pass for East Campus. We did add a one-day option today for Friday. So if you have parents or someone else bringing in middle school students that for just Friday, that you can order a $6 parking permit if they're driving a car or a van. That's cheaper than buying a 3-day pass up here for $16. So in any case, take a look at that. The Ag Ed Club, we've hired them again to record some different events this year. And so you can see here, Senior Parley Pro, Ag Demo, Ag Issues, Marketing Plan, and Ag Sales is what their plan is. And so for $25, you'll have a password and link to those videos if those are ones that you're interested in being able to share with your students in future years. And then the rest of these are those convention t-shirts, hoodies, and they added a crew neck sweatshirt, which I didn't think those were cool anymore, but apparently they are again. So those are available for you to order here and then pick up, like Anita said, at the convention. We also have event-specific registration, and so I'll zoom in a little bit here. It's jumping around when I do that. In any case, you can see that on Wednesday at 4:30, there's an entertainment session. I don't know, Anita, what you want to say about this juggler?
He seems to be really fun, but he's a comedy juggler, and from what I've heard from others, does a really good job of pulling students up onto the stage into his performance and act. So we think it'll be fun.
So you can order tickets here. Do they need to order tickets for like themselves, or is it just students? That's another question I've been asked before.
Anybody who plans to attend that session will need a ticket to get into the arena to watch the session.
Okay. You can see here there are 8 different leadership academies with some different topics. It's not just a generic leadership academy as it's been in the past. Any highlights, Anita, that you want to make with these? Or I know the description is online, but
yeah, the power of problem solving. I know that one is going to be that presenter is bringing a lot of equipment with him. His name is Josh Erickson, and he's out of Kearney. The national FFA presenters, I'm waiting on a description from them yet, so I don't have much on that yet. The 2 hunger banquets, Academy number 7 and number 9, the students will be able to come in and they'll experience a hunger banquet type setting, as well as understanding how they can take leadership in solving local hunger issues. And then number 8 is being hosted by the Engler Entrepreneurship Program. And so again, very interactive in helping those students understand how they can become leaders in a business or entrepreneurial type of experience that they wish to engage in.
And then number 3 here, the reason it's listed, this is the Big Red Rock the Wreck event on Thursday that we discussed earlier. The reason it's listed multiple times is because with the admission comes that t-shirt. And so you'll want to at least make your best guess in terms of what size of t-shirt your students should be wearing. And again, it's $2, which includes the t-shirt and the admission, which is a pretty rocking deal, because I know my son went there for a birthday party. I think it was like $7 or $10 to get in, just to do the rock climbing wall, and this is that plus so much more as well. Hall of Chapters, Anita, anything there?
You have 2 options if you want for your chapter to have a display, and one option is just a table, and the other option is a table with power. And so you can see that the power, of course, we're charged for that, and so there's a charge for that, and we're charged for the table rental, and so you can see the charges associated with the Hall of Chapter display. Any chapter can request to have a display, and those displays will be judged and scored, and whichever chapter wins the display event will then be asked to host the Nebraska chapter in the Hall of States at the National Convention.
And then next down there is if your chapter participates in the I Believe the Future of Ag campaign, the fundraising campaign that just ended in February, Stacy is looking for up to 100 students to attend, so maximum 2 per chapter. That's a free event as well. Mentioned earlier that the UNL tours are coming back, and so you can see that many of them are sold out, but there's still a few spots left. So if you want students to come on campus and do some of these things, these are more than just tours. We call them tours, but it's more than just a tour because they are activity based, and so it's not just walking around looking at classrooms and department plaques and things like that. They are designed to be fun and engaging, and have been very popular in the past. What I'll say here is that if you sign up for this, you will have a ticket for it that will have the details on it as well, in terms of where they need to go and that type of thing in your packet. But please, 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 if you sign up, do everything you can to make sure that you're using all those tickets up, because as you can see here, there are people that would love to go and they do sell out, and so it's just a shame if students can't get to them. Plus, all these presenters put a lot of work into getting materials and supplies, and so we just want to make sure that we're maximizing their time as well. And there's only one industry tour left as well. Anita, I'll let you talk a little bit about kind of what these are and where they come from.
Yeah, we recognize that on Friday of convention last year, with the schedule shift and changes, some students had a whole lot to do and others just didn't, and teachers wanted more for students to be able to do on Friday of convention. And so we had approached a great partner in Nebraska Farm Bureau and asked them if they could help to organize some industry tours that would be provided in the Lincoln area, and transportation provided, all the logistics organized. And Farm Bureau was gracious to do that and glad to. And so they were able to identify 6 different businesses that were willing to host varying numbers of students for those tours. And you can see the options when Matt gets it pulled back up on the screen. And of course, we've asked for everyone to register. There's a description of each of those tours available on the first kind of convention information page. And so you can see what the time is, and then if there are any requirements, like that students need to wear closed-toed shoes or hard hats or whatnot, and then again the description of the event. It's important to know that for each group of students that attend these events, these 6 industry tours, an adult is required to attend with them. Okay, so we need to make sure that the students have their ticket and they know where they're supposed to go, but they also have an adult chaperone with them. Okay, again, Farm Bureau is taking on the cost of the buses to transport students. They have taken on the logistics of everything, and so we would again ask, if you have a ticket for that event, please remind your students to use that ticket on the tour, or provide that ticket to somebody else so that another student may enjoy those tours, because Farm Bureau has worked very hard to organize this for us, and we want the event to be successful for everybody that's involved.
Our hope is that Farm Bureau is just blown away by the quality of the experience that they get to watch the students participate in, that they just want to do double this next year. So we hope that that grows. All right, middle school academy. And that's kind of your bailiwick there.
You bet. So we mentioned that the registration for middle school was $3, okay? And so that's whether they attend the convention, just sessions, or they go to these academy events or whatever. In addition to their registration of being at the convention, then they will also need to register for these items. So if you've registered students for these items but not completed the general convention registration, we need to make sure that that is correct, okay? So if you've registered students for Quiz Bowl or workshops or whatever, please also go make sure those same students are registered on the general convention registration page. Students who want to participate in the middle school academy events, all of those events will be hosted over on East Campus in the East Campus Union on Friday of convention. So if those students intend to stick around the Union for lunch, we're glad to provide that for them. We just need to know how many people, and students will have a ticket and they'll need to provide that ticket in order to secure a lunch. The 2 rounds of Quiz Bowl are also occurring in that middle school academy experience. And so again, just register if you want a team or 1 team in each section or 2 teams, register what you need to register. Notice that there is an entry fee for the Quiz Bowl teams this year. Finally, then we've had the option so that if students are participating in the Quiz Bowl section A, if they're going to stick around then for the rest of that morning, they could then go to middle school leadership workshop section B at the alternate time of whenever their Quiz Bowl is. However, that doesn't mean that they have to do both. And a student could go to just the middle school leadership workshops. So again, we just need a head count on who intends to go to each of those leadership workshops. The other thing that will be happening over at the East Campus Union for middle school students are the Ag Literacy speaking competition and the Discovery speaking competition. And so those orders of appearance are posted on the website, and you can review when your student would report and then compete in each of those events.
They're listed alongside the rest of the LSEs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Anita, I have a question then.
Yes,
I think I registered mine wrong in there.
okay.
I was, for some reason, thinking if they were going to do junior high Quiz Bowl A, that they needed to be at the workshop A too, because I didn't know if you were splitting each of those groups in half or whatever. So I can still go back in there and re-edit that, can't I?
You can, all the way through March 21st, Randy. Okay. So yeah, if they're doing Quiz Bowl A, they will be occupied from 8 to 10. And so then if they want to stay and attend that leadership workshop, then they'll just want to go to the 10 to 12 workshop so that it's not on top of their Quiz Bowl.
Okay, all right.
That's a good point. I'll make a note, and I can add a note above up here just to clarify that for others. So thanks, Randy.
Mm-hmm. And so then Matt was just about to move to the middle school People in Ag event, and that event also will happen in the middle school academy area over on at the Union on East Campus. And we do have a maximum of 75 booth spaces, if you will, for those middle school posters. And so you can drag and drop your students in, and when it fills, it will be full.
Okay.
Chapter delegates, we hope that each chapter sends their maximum of 2 chapter delegates. both to the delegate sessions and to the breakfast that will happen on Thursday morning. Farm Bureau is again hosting that breakfast, and from what I heard last year, that breakfast experience seemed to be an enriching experience last year, with Farm Bureau kind of at the helm of that. Phil Erdman will be speaking at that, as well as the national officer who will be visiting us and the state officer. And Nebraska Farm Bureau will kind of help to provide some background in terms of what really is the legislative process, or what does this mean that you're to get to the convention. And so if you register one delegate, then you're required to register 2 delegates. And then you'll notice that the breakfast is a cost of $15 per delegate. The sponsorship that Nebraska Farm Bureau provides to that covers a portion of everybody's breakfast, but not the whole thing, unfortunately. So there is a fee that's attached with that breakfast to have delegates attend it. Delegates will receive a special badge in your packets. And so if you register delegates, you'll have those in your packets to make sure that they're identifiable, and that when those sessions are happening on Thursday and Friday, that they're supposed to be in those sessions.
Anita, a question that I recall receiving last year was, what if the same 2 students can't do everything the delegates do, since it's spread out on Thursday and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or whatever the schedule.
Thursday and Friday. Mm-hmm.
Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, we've had people provide those badges to other students. And so if a student needs to make a switch or serve as a delegate representative during one session but not during the other, that's possible. We would ask that student who's kind of transferring that responsibility just fill in whatever it is that they have gained about the delegate process up to that point, so that when a student comes in to vote, they're able to do so knowledgeably.
Okay. And information about delegate issues should be coming out soon.
Soon, yes.
Okay.
So will there be a webinar for the delegates like last year?
I don't know yet, Kurt. I've been thinking a lot about this, and the reason I don't know is that we have worked to encourage chapters to submit some delegate items the past couple of years, because we do want students to be engaged in that process and to know that this organization is theirs, and that's how change happens in the organization. We haven't had many submissions for delegate issues, and so I need to figure out what our delegate issues are from National FFA, and we'll kind of gauge and determine if those are really complex issues, then we need to host something. The other change that is influencing this decision this year is that previously our FFA board would have approved those delegate issues in mid-February, and we've bumped that back to mid to late March now. And so we actually won't know what the delegate issues are until the weekend of Activate and Leverage, which is kind of right on top of the convention. And so just trying to find the time to schedule that is just it's different this year than it has been. And so we will send out a summary of the issues if we don't host that webinar, or we may host a webinar one time and record it, and that's available to those students, and not host multiple webinars, simply because of the timing between board approval and the state convention happening.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. Good question.
The last item on here are the Teach Ag workshops, and so you can select up to 5 students if you want, or not if you want. You should be selecting up to 5 students based on what you know about students, and whether it be they've shown interest to you in the past, or you just think they might be a good ag teacher. Regardless of why you're talking to them about this or setting them up for this, please talk with them beforehand, so they know that this is not just an open, regular workshop. This is a targeted thing that you've nominated them for, and maybe then that'll lead into a conversation about why, which would be great too. So with that, what questions do you have about state convention registration?
I have a question. Can you hear? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Lee Schroeder. Okay, when we go back to those leadership workshops, there's like 9 different ones. which one would you say would be the best for a freshman member, and what age groups do you think the other ones would be appropriate for?
Sure. Good question, Lee. The presenters they've all been told that anyone between grades 9 through 12 could possibly attend those sessions. And so the facilitators are prepared to work with high school students, again, in grades 9 through 12. I feel really good about the power of problem solving being able to meet the needs of a 9th through 12th grader. And I feel really good about the National FFA workshops being able to meet the needs of a 9th through 12th grader. If I'm thinking about the hunger banquet, again, I think any student is going to be able to grasp what they're trying to communicate in those sessions, and they're going to be able to transfer the knowledge and the skills that they learn from those sessions back into their home chapter or their home community. Engler entrepreneurship, my kind of lens that I'm looking at that through is saying, if I've got a 9th grade student or a 10th grade student who seems like they just need to be really fostered, but they've got some great ideas and they could be a great potential business owner or operator, I'm going to send those students. And if I have an 11th or 12th grade student who's kind of getting ready to leap out and either go to college or start that business after high school or engage in a home business after high school, I'm going to have a different conversation with them and prepare them to go to that session. So I know that isn't a real clear answer for you, Lee. There are no leadership academies that are like limited 9th and 10th grade or 11th and 12th grade. If that's a need that we need to provide, we can certainly look at that for next year. What we know is that there's a demand for the leadership academies as something that's a little bit longer experience and something that's a pretty high quality experience. And that's the need that we've met. So again, they're prepared to work with grades 9 through 12 in their session. I can ask them to get a gauge at the beginning of their session about what the ages of the students are, so they know, do I have more 9th graders or more 11th graders, 10th or 12th, so that they can kind of tailor that experience. But that's an expectation that's been set forth for those presenters. Does that help, Lee?
Well, it helps a little bit. What I've always done is my 9th graders have always gone to a leadership academy. That's, you do this and this, and you must attend a leadership academy, and here's your ticket, buddy. And, I was just trying to pick which one might be the one that is the most similar to what they've had. So they all have kind of the same experience. We could, are any of them like what they've had, so we could send other kids then? I guess that's the next question. Is anything?
Sure.
Last year, all of our freshmen went to Leadership Academy. Is something here drastically different that they could go again?
Yeah. The National FFA presenter ones, those are the types of presenters who have typically done the leadership academies before. And so if you're wanting something that's pretty similar, that's probably going to be your closest bet. The power of problem solving by topic is probably not all that different, but he's bringing in stuff. Like, they're going to be hands-on, up and moving for 2 straight hours with stuff. Materials, equipment, supplies that he's bringing in. So that one will be different in that it's probably pretty heavy supply. The hunger banquet, there's going to be food that's eaten during that session, and they're going to actually have this banquet. And so that's a little bit different feel than what we've had before. And Engler Entrepreneurship, haven't heard a lot about what their plan is for that, but they had a really great session last year that was a 60-minute leadership session, and we got great reviews on that, which is why I asked them to expand their 60-minute session into a 2-hour, and they jumped all over that and were more than glad to do that. And so, again, a topic that isn't a traditional, like, general leadership topic,
right?
Very specific topic, but in terms of engagement strategies, I anticipate those will be very similar to what has been used, especially knowing that many of the students in the Engler Entrepreneurship Program are former FFA members, past state officer types.
Okay. Now, the next question has to do with the junior high registration. I only have 4 girls that speak. And could they eat lunch there, or what would be the idea?
Yeah, if you want them to eat, if you want them to eat lunch, just go ahead and put 4 in that box that's up there. And if you want them, I don't know exactly what their speaking times are, but if you want them to attend one of those leadership workshops around their speech, they can step out of those leadership workshops too if they need to go speak and come back in, or attend one before or after their speech.
Okay. Should we buy a lunch ticket for their parent? Who's hauling them?
Yeah. So if there's going to be an adult who's there with them, yes, go ahead and if you want to provide that lunch for them, do that. Otherwise, of course, there are, a couple places on campus that they could eat, like at the dairy store or in the cafe at the Union, but I'd recommend just do the $7 meal ticket.
Okay. Now back to the general registration.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the general registration? There it is. Okay. Like the parents who come down to see their kids get a state degree have to have a $5 entry fee?
Say that one more time, Lee.
Like if I have parents coming down for one session at 4:00 on Friday, they have to pay $5 to get in.
That's right.
We have to pay $5 for them to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to if they were to come watch a basketball game or other things, it's kind of priced along the same theory, I guess.
Okay, so what about say we've got a lot of kids that are in college down there. If they can't come and watch a session, they'd have to pay $5. It's $10 the day of the thing. Is that correct?
Right. If they're going to come into the convention, they'll need to go through the registration area. And if they don't have a badge or a button, then they'll stop at the registration area. And if they need to purchase on site, they sure can.
That's what I was thinking it looked like. So basically it's like national convention. Everybody has to have a button and everybody pays.
Correct. Yep.
Will increase our cost considerably.
Yeah, Lee, I hear what you're saying, and I understand. The convention costs have increased considerably.
I figured when you moved to the PBA that there was going to be
Yeah.
an increase in, I don't know how much it went up. I would imagine thousands of dollars.
Multiple thousands of dollars would be accurate. So, yeah. And our sponsorships to the foundation have increased. The FFA Alumni Council has helped. But even compared from last year to this year, there was a jump, and we knew there would be with nicer facilities. We're able to do more there than at Pershing Auditorium, and so, but you just got to pay for all that. Is the reality of it. So. Other questions on registration, or did I cut someone off?
And I want to take these shoes off.
I'm gonna mute Kylie. There we are. Okay. So I'm gonna jump back over to this information here. A few more things that we thought would be worth just highlighting. I'm going to go back to the convention planning page, and there's some other events that are there that you don't have to pre-register for, but one of them is, my computer's a little slow. I'm trying to record this all. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. We talked about Hall of Chapters. Please know that the FFA Expo and Career Fair will happen. That's the event that takes place in the third concourse at Pinnacle Bank Arena. The Expo and the Career Fair are two different events, but for a lot of people, they might think it's actually the same people there all day. On Wednesday and Thursday, the people on the third concourse are colleges, they are industry people, there are other partners, some vendors that are there to sell things or promote things. Where on Friday, that is all switched out and it's new people, and it's specifically business and industry. And so there's a list that Stacy's provided to us if you want to see what's going on there. During registration, one of the options was to order FFA Expo and Career Fair program books. And so these are free, and your students will be able to do the activity. It's like a passport activity. They get punches if they do it, and there's t-shirts at the end. And so in any case, when you register, I would recommend, if you plan on having students attend either the expo or the career fair, to order enough books to cover all of your students. And then you'll pick those up on site as well. The other thing that we're adding to it, because the career fair happens during all those sessions right at the same location, that place was packed last year on Friday especially. And so we're going to try to help spread things out a bit. And so there's this AFNR, Ag Food Natural Resources Career Exploration Experience that will be taking place during the career fair up a level on the 5th concourse. And there's an escalator in the middle of the 3rd concourse that'll take students up there. And up here it'll be a little different. You see a lot of extension listed here, and a few UNL people, and so there's some business people as well, that'll be doing activities on site there with students that are organized around the 7 Ag Food Natural Resources career pathways. And so this will be an opportunity for students to sit down at a table, and I think one of the examples that I gave when we asked them to do it was, extract DNA from a strawberry, which is an activity you can do over a set number of minutes, and then they can move on. And so this will be more options for your students to do some things, more than just grab some free things from a booth, but sit down and actually dive into some content. So anyway, information is available there. Just looking here. Any other questions about this, or Anita, is there other event-specific highlights that we want to hit?
I think we're good there.
Okay. All right. Next up, we talked about middle school quite a bit, career development events. Please know that you can register the same system. So I'm just going to jump back to where we were here. CDEs, not a whole lot has changed. Registration's really similar. You have to identify participants and alternates, and only your designated alternates can substitute the day of. That's the biggest thing that teachers need to remember. Some teachers think, oh, well, that's my team, and that's my team. I don't have to worry about it. And then a student has a death in the family, or they get an MIP the weekend before and can't come. And that happens every year. And we hear about it because they didn't designate alternates. So please be sure to do that. The CDEs that show up here are the ones that are just open CDEs for anyone to register, plus the ones you've qualified for. And so if you've qualified for an event that does not show up here, contact your district NAEA chair, and they'll be able to identify you and designate you as a team that should be representing your district. So when it comes to the events themselves, the schedule's online. That's pretty easy to find. The locations are all the same with the exception of food science. And so the food science career development event will actually take place at the Food Innovation Center on Nebraska Innovation Campus. So we're adding another location to convention, which we're not in love with, but the facilities over there are beautiful, and the entire food science department moved over to that building. And so that's where they wanted to host the event itself. So everything else is where it has been for the past year or two. While I'm on this map, I just want to also point out too, just another reminder, the Nebraska East Union is now the home for the middle school academy for all the middle school events. And so they will not be downtown, and that is a big change from last year. The union will give us enough space, enough rooms to accommodate that much better than the Holiday Inn was able to do for us last year. So I think that'll be a good move. The other big change is ag demonstration will be taking place in the Animal Science Complex. And so what you'll do is pull into this back parking lot and see here, zoom in as far as I can. And then right here are the doors that will get you into the practicum areas back here. And there'll be people that should be helping you get to the right locations and things. And so I think this will be an excellent change. Has some different logistical considerations though. So Anita, want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah, we have updated the order of appearance document, and so you'll either see that you're in the first bay or the second bay, and there should be someone from each district, so for instance, each district qualified 2 teams And those should be in different bays so that you're not competing against someone in your district again. We requested this year for the first time ever kind of a description of what each ag demonstration team was going to be demonstrating. And what we've learned is that there's everything from taking up a foot by foot space all the way, some people are requiring like a 12 by 12 space. So there's a lot of variance. Some people are requesting outdoor space. Some people are requesting lots of different things, okay? So we have had to coordinate that some of those demonstrations will actually occur in the arena of animal science because the space is larger or more demanding than what's even available in the animal science bays. So because of that, and needing to work around some class events that are happening in the bays and in the arena, we really need for people to stick to the times that have been assigned, because that has been assigned around what we can work with UNL. If you are in dire need of needing to make a change, please contact me and we'll do what we can do. But my response to the couple of people who have asked about that already is that we'll do what we can do, and at some point we may not be able to do what you need for us to do, and a student may have to make a difficult decision. So we'll do our very best to accommodate that, but we can't guarantee that every request will be able to be met. Okay.
And then I'm going to jump, which one is it? Sorry, I don't know which tab's which. Other than that, you can see again, the shuttle locations here on the East Loop. We ask that when you bring buses onto East Campus that you follow the shuttle path here, which will get you out of the traffic of all the university shuttles, which go the opposite direction. So if you need to stop and drop students off, pick them up, you're not going to have a big line of other university shuttles and traffic, because most of the traffic will go opposite of what this indicates for our shuttles and school buses. Bus parking will be here, but again, you do have to pay for that parking. And then there's other lots that are available for vans and cars and other things. So in any case, what other questions do you have about East Campus or career development events? Ag Technology Mechanics will be on Wednesday starting at 10:30 down at the Pinnacle Bank Arena loading dock area again. And he's walked through there and has seen the space and is making some really good plans. Hopefully you've all received, and if you're participating, taking a look at the detailed information that Dan Stellux provided out of NCTA. I think he's looking forward to a good event there. So, Anita, what do you want to share about leadership skill events?
I think the main update that I had was about the ag demonstration, and so everything else is pretty well normal in terms of the order of appearance has been posted, and if you need to make that swap, we'd ask that you follow the rules that are posted on the website and work with another teacher to make sure that you make the switch, and then let me know once both teachers have agreed. Other than that, everything should be pretty consistent with leadership skills events from last year to this year, in that you'll check in for those events down at the Holiday Inn downtown, and then those students will compete in their respective rooms downtown.
I think the other change was Parley Pro Finals is now on Thursday. Is that right?
They are on Thursday. That's correct.
Were they on Friday last year? Or am I just making that up? I can't.
They were on Thursday last year too.
Okay, I'm just old school then. All right. The other things, just as an FYI. Oh, come on, computer. Trying to pull up the map again. Great. That's jolly. Sorry, guys. Try loading it this way again. Here it comes. A few things have moved around between locations. Again, no middle school at the Holiday Inn, so that changed some things. Anita, just from memory, are there any big changes that moved between what all happens downtown other than that?
No, the biggest thing is probably that Many students probably didn't go to the Courtyard Marriott at all last year because we were hosting the state officer interviews. This year they will be down there quite a bit because of leadership workshops, the leadership academies that are there. And then of course, like the I Believe reception is there as well. So that'll be kind of a new facility for some students.
Just a reminder, free parking across the way over here, and then there's a pedestrian bridge that'll take you right to Pinnacle Bank Arena. Anita, when you coming in on Wednesday, will that door be open and the badges? I forget what we're at with that as well.
So the first time that you come into the convention arena, you'll need to use the front south entry of Pinnacle Bank Arena to make sure that the badges are on, and if you need to pick up registration materials, that'll happen at the south side. The Pinnacle Bank Arena staff will not allow people who are not wearing a badge to come into those doors where Matt's mouse is right now, kind of off that walkway from festival parking. And so if somebody is not wearing a badge, they will need to walk down the rest of that ramp and come in the south side of Pinnacle Bank Arena.
And that ramp goes all the way down around here if you didn't make that trip last year. The other thing I want to highlight is the Corduroy at the Cube event that Farm Bureau hosts. It takes place right here. That was kind of rained out a couple times last year, and if your students didn't go, it looked like a ton of fun for students and was a good place for them to congregate if they were between different events. And so it's available on the schedule. So can look for that and plan for that as well. That's also right here is where the tours will take off on Friday, the industry tours that Farm Bureau is hosting. This is the shuttle stop in front of this is the old post office right there. And so that's where this shuttle stop will be as well. It was gonna run until 8:30 on Wednesday. At 6:30, we're gonna send 2 of the buses and have them shut off, but there'll be 1 bus that runs just to pick up a few more people on East Campus. So it does get a little slower after 6:30, but there will be 1 bus still making the trip. Parking, to get to festival parking, there's a map available here. There's no direct way from the Pinnacle Bank Arena to get there. You actually have to go clear out and around to get there, which really isn't that bad because you can take Cornhusker Highway to East Campus if you're coming that direction. That's a pretty easy way to do it if you're making the East Campus trip back. It's to do the Cornhusker Highway. So there have been some things that have moved around here within Pinnacle Bank Arena. Probably one of the biggest ones is the Agri-Science Fair is now going to be up on the 5th concourse. We set up for Wednesday and is mandatory tear down by Thursday afternoon. And so if you have students involved with that, please pay attention to that. Students are welcome to attend and walk up to the 5th concourse to view the exhibits after a specified time. I don't know what time that is off the top of my head. But if you have students that aren't participating but want to see it, we encourage you to send them up there once the judging is completed. Other than that, the advisor hospitality room moved a little bit further down the hallway, but it's a bit more conducive room. It's in the green room, and so we'll have some signs and to let you know where that is as well. Other than that, the Courtesy Corps also checks into a different room, which will be back, but this is where Roxy's set up. It'll be back behind there that they'll have to go to access the Courtesy Corps. And so tell them to go to the registration desk and they'll point them in the right direction. Other than that, I think most things are the same. Oh, the Hall of Chapters will be set up on the 1st floor, if I recall correctly. Is that right?
That's the plan, yes.
So look for more information if you sign up for that, but you'll probably see more down on this level. Currently, we're looking at that to be the place for the Hall of Chapters. All right. Anything you want to say about sessions, Anita, or stage lineup or anything else?
A couple of items. The stage lineup document that we had started 2 years ago will be available, and we'll post that on the website on the screen that Matt's on now. And so we'll just make sure that link is live once it's available. And really take a look at that and check it out, because if any of your students are being recognized for anything, or if your chapter is being recognized for an award, that will tell you what session it's in, how many seats we'll have reserved, and when those students will need to make sure that they're there. And our backstage crew will help to pull those students from the reserve seating up onto the session, and we'll go to those reserve seats to get people. And if they're not there, they'll likely miss their award. So we need for people to be in their reserve seating. One other change that we're excited about during sessions is that during the 7th session, when the state degrees are handed out to those students, we're going to ask that advisors of recipients this year come with their students to be on stage and to be a part of awarding those students their state degree. We get to award them, the state officers do a lot of times, but really you all are the ones who put the work into helping those students attain that degree, and we want for you to be a part of that celebration for those students. So we'll have an extra seat reserved for each chapter in reserve seating to have the advisor be a part of that reserve seating. And then you'll be escorted onto the stage with your students, and we'll have the advisors go on stage first and at the advisor spot, and then you'll be able to congratulate those students and help to award that degree to those students. So that'll be a change for you. If you don't want to participate, you certainly don't have to, but if you would like to, then it might be helpful for you to think about who would help to supervise the students that are still in the seats and not going with you onto the stage.
To that note, if I can tag on to more stage things, Anita, I'll be getting a hold of those teachers that had first place teams or individuals in range judging, land judging, course evaluation, and dairy evaluation. We're going to ask teachers if they have students that'll be a convention that were a first place team, then a first place individual, and a representative from the team to participate in an award ceremony at the beginning of the CDE LSE session. And so that way those students can be recognized for their hard work. So that'd be going all the way back to last May with the horse evaluation team, and then through last fall for the rest of these. Additionally, as well, sorry, Anita, I butted in here.
You're fine.
The livestock evaluation that takes place, that career development event takes place on Friday. We are not able to recognize them on stage due to timing, but they are going to host a review session at the end of that, and they're going to have an award ceremony there in the arena in the Animal Science Building on East Campus to recognize the top teams and individuals for the junior and senior livestock evaluation teams. And so that takes place not exactly on top of the CDE award ceremony, but it could, depending on timing. And so it should be a good event, number one, because it's educational. They're going to go through the classes and talk through them. But then number two, then students will be formally recognized. They'll have plaques and ribbons there for the top placing individuals as well.
One more note on kind of session recognition types of things. If you are the advisor of a state star candidate, you'll be getting an email sometime here this week or next week. We're providing an opportunity to the star candidates to serve as some kind of media sources for us. And we'll be inviting the star candidates to come into the media room at the state convention on Friday afternoon, probably after their reception, which should end at 3:30. And we'll be inviting media into that room as well, so that those star candidates can be the source for those media for some interviews, either radio, paper, or television. And we'll want those star candidates to help communicate the message of agricultural education, and especially their SAE, but other opportunities that they've had as well through FFA and their Ag Ed coursework.
That's all I have. So what questions do you guys have, or concerns you have, or things that we might just need to put on our radar as we come? Convention would have ended a month from now yesterday, so it's coming.
I guess I have a question as far as checking in. As long as we pre-order everything and have it sent out, there's no further check-in once we arrive there at the PBA?
Your T-shirts, if you would have ordered T-shirts or ordered, are planning to come to that Thursday night event, there's T-shirts with those. Those are and if you've ordered placemats and cups for your banquet through the FFA Foundation, and the books for the scavenger hunt, those 4 things will still be available. You'll need to pick those up there. We can't ship all that. So if you've ordered any of those 4 things, you do need to stop in and pick those up. The rest of it, though, for tickets and parking passes and other things, we can ship out to you.
I have a question too. This is Chris.
Mm-hmm.
On Friday, I see where the star interviews are. When will we know if our student has been selected to have an interview?
The preliminary review of the STAR candidates will happen during the Activate and Leverage weekend in Kearney. And so after that weekend is over, we'll have a lot of information. And so then this is my plug for myself. We'll get out as soon as we can on the 21st and probably some on the 22nd, because we'll be, we asked everyone to submit those bios and the schedule conflicts for proficiency finalists. So we're going to work and we're going to honor those schedule conflicts as much as we can, but it's going to take some more time to whip out those schedules, whereas before we would just plug them in and send it out. So we'll be sending out proficiency schedules as well as STAR interview schedules after that weekend in Kearney as soon as we can.
So I probably should change it to say not March 21st, but after.
Yeah, that's pretty high expectation right there.
That's the Monday after.
And if people email on March 21st asking where they are, I will likely just delete those emails and then they'll have it when they have it.
That's fine. I understand that. And then the other thing you mentioned, the STARS banquet. Now, it's been years since I've had a STAR candidate. Are all candidates invited to that banquet or only the ones that were interviewed?
And it's a reception this year.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be on Friday from 2:30 to 3:30 at the Hilton Garden Inn. And any STAR candidate who advances to the state convention interview will be invited to that reception. So if you have a STAR candidate whose application went on, but then it goes home after that weekend in Kearney, they are not invited, but the 24 final candidates are invited.
Okay.
And that'll also include, yes, their advisor and their parents as well.
Okay, thanks.
Similar to the proficiency dinner where it's just the candidates being interviewed at state convention will all be invited and their parents to the proficiency dinner as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. What other questions? Well, if not, we'll see you in about 29 days. So look for more information. Anita's done a really good job trying to organize things within those weekly panels and highlight the things that are new. And so when those come across, please at least glance at the highlighted items so you know what's going on. We're going to try to limit the amount of one item things that we send out about it, and that's the method here. We've also been trying to archive everything on the state convention planning page and the registration page. So those are your first stops to looking for information if you're trying to figure out something that you can't find. But also don't hesitate to reach out to Anita, to Roxy, and myself as you have questions and need information. So
Matt, one more key thing here. We made the decision to move the convention, what traditionally has been the convention program booklet will be through the guidebook app this year at the state convention. And so that app can be accessed through a smartphone or a tablet. And we recognize that not all students will have those devices or the ability to have that app, and certainly not all parents will have that ability. So I am in the process right now of working to create, kind of to dissect the comprehensive schedule to make a schedule that's specific to events. And so we'll have a kind of a packet that is workshops only, sessions only, tours only. And so those will be up on the website, but we're asking for you to kind of get a gauge on if your student needs a paper copy, please print off what you need. Don't print off what you don't need, and provide that to the students and parents ahead of time who might need those things because they don't have a smartphone or a tablet to use that app. And right along with that, then we would encourage you to have those students or parents share that information with them to download that guidebook app before they get to the convention, and then they'll be able to find the Nebraska FFA convention session schedules. It'll have all the schedules on it, all of the orders of appearance, all of the information that includes specific student name listing like state degree applicants and whatnot. All of that will be available through that app. But if you have someone who needs paper, please print it and give it to them ahead of time.
All right. With that, thank you all very much. We appreciate you tuning in. And like I said, we will see you very, very soon. So have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.